So, hello everyone. This is day 5 of the 5 days to a 5K donor challenge. We made it to day 5. Today is all about taking action with confidence and the final steps to secure your 5K donor. It's either your first or your next. Either way, I'll take it. But it was an amazing 5 days. And again, congratulations for making it this far. So, again, you've come so far. Day 1. We focused in on crafting a powerful donor story. What's your story? Your why? Why did you create your nonprofit, your personal donor story? And then day 2, we identified your donors. And we recognize that donors can come in all shapes and sizes. There's donors that'll write a check, refer you to someone else, or that are just going to be your advocates. And a donor is they could be giving $50 or $50,000. And it could be your bank, a restaurant, a business from the Chamber of Commerce, your uncle, whoever it may be. We talked about how to identify those donors, and hopefully you made a list. If not, go back to day 2. Day 3, we created personalized outreach messages. Again, we don't want, yes, there are templates and I'm all for it, but you have to personalize templates and really make them your own. Add your personal story, your personal connection to that donor. Day 4, we developed and practiced your donor pitch. So day 4, well, depending on when you're watching this, maybe over the weekend, you created that donor pitch. Hopefully you practiced it, got some feedback from a friend or colleague or family member. But look at that, 4 days. We went from the donor story, identifying ideal donors, personalized outreach messages, and developed and practiced your donor pitch. And with those 4 elements and what we're going to talk about today, you are more than ready to have a 5K or more conversation. And the reason I put a dollar value on it is so often I'll meet a nonprofit leader and they're comfortable having a $10 a month conversation, a $50 a month conversation, even a $100 a month conversation. But when it comes to going for a larger donor, 1,000 or 5,000, these are many times the components that nonprofit leaders are missing. They don't have a donor story. They can talk about what they do, but not a real heartfelt, inspirational story. And and also here, number 2, I don't have any donors. Where do I find donors? Can you give me a list of donors? And you saw how during day 2, and if not, rewatch it, we're able to identify donors that are right around us. I'm a firm believer that we have about $1 million around us at any given time. And then I always hear, okay, well, yeah, if they're donors, but what do I say? And we talked about crafting those personalized outreach messages, and then just practicing it will be the key. So today's focus will be finalizing your donor strategy, how to handle objections with confidence. This is a big one. And I'll tell you right now, objections only come in 3 flavors: information, emotion, and value. So when you hear an objection, try to identify, is this an information objection? Meaning, well, it sounds, you maybe say you have a horse rescue and they're saying to you, well, it just doesn't seem like 50,000 will be enough. And you say, well, no, it actually will be enough. We actually have a number of estimates on barns, and we're able to build the barn with $50,000. So based on their information, they were saying 50,000 isn't enough. So information might mean, well, I heard that it doesn't, or I read somewhere. You'll hear that a lot in an objection. That's information. Emotion is when someone either does or does not feel an emotional connection to what you're saying, or their objection and shying away from it is emotional. Well, I really don't get into those. It's too close to politics. I don't feel like it's the right thing. I don't feel like it's the right time. That's emotion. And how do we meet emotion? With emotion. Well, I can understand how you feel. I can empathize about your concern, but be rest assured that, and you could just come back with emotion. And then if it's value, maybe their concern is you're asking for too much. Maybe their concern is you're asking for too little and won't be able to achieve your desired results. So listen to the objection, and I have some sample objections today. And so we're going to classify them whether they're information, emotion, or value. We're going to map out your next 30 days of action. What are we doing for the next 30 days after the challenge? You thought it was just 5 and you're off the hook? No, not at all. I want to give you a roadmap of what to do for the next 30 days. And these next 30 days are very special. I'm at the time that I'm recording this because we're going into December. But whenever you're watching this, know that these same 30 days apply. Okay. But if you're close to the holidays, 26% of all giving is done within the month of December. Then there's Giving Tuesday, which is December 3rd in 2024. I don't know what it'll be in 2025, but in 2024, it'll be December 3rd. So preparing, gearing up for giving that's going to happen. You just have to be a part of it. All right, so why taking action matters. The first step is always the hardest, but it's the most rewarding. Many of you will watch this and plan and write down and take notes and say, I'm going to watch day 3 first, and you're waiting for the perfect moment and the perfect time. Just take the first step. Take the first step, calling a donor, creating your roadmap. But again, there's activity and then there's action. So activity is I'm going to make my list, I'm going to practice my pitch, but action is when you actually reach out to the donor, when you set up the meeting, when you make the call, when you go to Chambers and introduce yourself. That's what we're looking for. Consistency builds relationships and trust. You have to be consistent. When it comes to social media, if you haven't started that, make sure that your nonprofit has a presence on social media. And so often nonprofit leaders get bogged down into, well, the work is the most important. I don't have time for social media. Well, the work is important, but social media allows people to get to know who you are, what you do, who you serve, why you do what you do. And it can give them an opportunity to volunteer, help out, to give to your organization. And being consistent on social media, being consistent with emails, newsletters. When people see that you're consistent, it builds trust. There's an old saying that people do business with who they know, like, and trust. People give to who they know, like, and trust. Know that every no brings you closer to a yes. Every no brings you closer to a yes. You have to put up with some no's. And the great thing about no's is that make them valuable. Well, I know you're not going to move forward, but if you could just give me some feedback and let me know why this may not be a good time. Well, it's not that it's a good time, it's this. Or come back in January. Or so no's, and no's aren't always a flat out no. No might mean not now. Okay, so get a feel for it. It's okay. They're going to say no. You'll get turned down. It's totally okay. And please don't take it personal. They're just saying no, they can't give for whatever reason. But it's not a rejection of you or a rejection of what you're doing in terms of the work that you're doing as a nonprofit. All right, so let's dig into some objections you're going to hear when you make those first calls and have those first meetings and how to respond. Well, I'm not ready to give right now. Well, that's okay. Can I share more about how we make an impact? The reason we want to have this objection is says, I'm not ready to give right now. No problem. Let me still talk about who we are and what we do, because when the time comes, I want you to keep us in mind. More often than not, someone says, well, I'm not ready to give right now. No problem. Maybe we'll follow up in January. You don't even let them know who you are, what you do, who you serve. So let them off the hook. I can't give right now. They know that you want money, but let them off the hook. Simply say, that's okay. Can I share more about how we make an impact? Can I share more about the program we have coming up next year, next month? Most of the time they'll say, yeah, sure. But they are being fair and respectful of your time and letting you know they're not ready to give right now. Question comes up, why should I give to your nonprofit? Now, when you hear this question, please don't take offense to it. They are not saying, we hate your community, we hate you, we don't want to have anything to do with you. Who do you think you are? They actually want to know, well, why should I give to your nonprofit? And if you hear this question, especially if you hear this question later in the conversation, then unfortunately, you may not have done the best job giving your donor story, talking about your impact and with your pitch. Because if they don't know why they should give, it's because you haven't told them how their support will impact. You haven't mentioned it. So they'll say, well, why should I give? And most objections are questions or concerns that should have been answered. When you cover, I want to say, most of your bases, by the time you get to your call to action, it'll just be a matter of how much or whether they can give it all. The gray area of, well, why should I give? We should have answered that. Okay. So here's what you can say. Well, because your support will directly impact the youth of LA County. Your support will directly impact thousands of children that receive breakfast at our local schools. So be specific. We talked about that in previous days. I already give to other causes. I already give to other causes. Well, we appreciate your generosity. Here's how we are unique. So they're saying we already give to other causes. Or you may hear a variation of that. Well, we already give to someone who's helping children, who's helps with homelessness. Well, first of all, acknowledge what they said. Show empathy. We appreciate your generosity. Here's how we do things just a little bit different in LA County. What we provide is not only school supplies for the children, a hot breakfast in the morning, but we also have an after-school program. So they may say, we already give to a after-school youth program. Yeah, but we provide hot meals. We provide mentoring. There's a camp connected. Oh, a camp. And you never know what you might say that'll spark in a donor that'll go, oh my gosh, oh, I wish you would have said that before. All right. Testing. All right. So here's your 30-day donor action plan. I want you to reach out to at least 10 donors on your wish list. 10 donors, reach out to them. And what I mean by that is to reach out to them, I want you to actually make contact with 10 donors on the list. Not, I sent 10 emails, haven't heard back. I want you to make a live connection, be it email, text. And when I say live, that where you actually get a response, I want you to call them if the relationship is there, to call them. I want you to reach out to at least 10 donors on your list. And I want you to schedule at least 3 to 5 meetings. So it may take reaching out to 20 people on your list, 15 people on your list, but I want you to get 3 to 5 meetings or calls. Notice I said meetings or calls. I always get the question, well, can it be a phone call? Yes, but I prefer in this order: in person, Zoom, and then phone call. Why? Because in person, you get to see people, build trust, eye contact. You get all the verbal and nonverbal cues. Zoom, very similar. You get to see someone's body language, show off who you are, show that you're a real person. And then last would be phone call. Exception would be if you know someone absolutely prefers phone calls and you have a great relationship. Or maybe you know someone that is a Zoom fanatic like myself, and so go for Zoom. Or maybe someone you know just would never write a check or never do business unless they were meeting in person, right? So whether it's a meeting or call, I want you to use your best judgment and trust your gut on that. Track your progress and adjust your approach as needed. So literally, that means taking notes before a meeting and after a meeting. Before a meeting says, okay, this is who they are. This is what they're interested in. We talked about that earlier this week. How can I now adjust my presentation so it matches with the goals and what inspires this donor if I know them? After, you want to do an after action report. How did it go? What were the questions? And rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. How did this go? Now, some technology you can use to your advantage. Record your meetings if possible on Zoom so you could watch them again. There are a number of AI softwares that will allow you to record and get a transcript. So I definitely recommend you do that. So you can really see how it went. Question comes up sometimes, well, should I go by myself? Should I bring my team? I always recommend that if possible, have someone else with you on the call. Why? Because they're going to hear stuff you didn't hear, see stuff you don't see, and having those second set of eyes and ears can be priceless. Also, having the second brain. So if there's something you forget, something you don't bring up, you can have that person help you out. So you want to track your progress, do an after action report, and make sure that you send an amazing follow-up email thanking them for their time. Thank them at the end of the meeting. Be super, super gracious, of course. And I want you to celebrate every win, no matter how small. Making a phone call is a win. Getting a meeting is a win. Them showing up is a win. You getting a check is a win. You not getting a check, a no, and some feedback, absolutely a win. And I want you to celebrate that. You'll look back, if you apply this, you'll look back and you're like, oh my gosh, over the last year, I've done 50 donor meetings. You'd be shocked. You do 2 or 3 a week, you can get up into the hundreds. So how do we measure our progress? Number of outreach messages sent. So you literally, I want you to log how many outreach messages you're sending, how many meetings or calls or schedule, donor commitments secured, and finally the feedback that you receive for improvement. I really encourage you that at the end of the meeting, you say, is there any feedback you have regarding the organization and the programs that we talked about today? Is there any feedback? Not can you rate us? Give us no, literally, is there any feedback, anything you wanted to mention? Especially, I will say this, if it doesn't go well, if it ends kind of short, you say, well, no problem. No worries. If there was a misunderstanding, forgive me. But from what you've heard, you have any feedback for me? Sometimes they'll say no. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, I really think that program should encompass veterans. And I say, well, why do you say that? And it's okay to ask, well, why do you say that as a follow-up? So they can fully articulate their advice or feedback. All right, know that you are absolutely ready for this. It takes courage to start a nonprofit. It takes courage to serve the community you're serving, whether they're people or animals, or I know we have horse rescues, dog rescues. There are those that help children, help veterans. The common theme is that you had the courage to say, I'm going to go beyond myself and help someone else. And so know that that same courage is what we're going to roll right into these donor meetings, and know that you're ready for this. And remember why you're doing this. On the very first night, I made a point of saying it's not about you. And so the reason you're doing this is because it's your mission. It's your mission to rescue those horses that are sick. It's your mission to help the veterans of Minnesota. It's your mission to help youth in Austin, Texas. And you've done the work and you have the tools you need. The way I built this program is that if you just did the challenge, just did the challenge and applied everything we mentioned, and you just put it all into place, you could raise thousands. And fear fades with action. Start small and build momentum. I had to say to myself the other day on some projects I was working, I need to punch fear in the face. And some of you watching this need to absolutely punch fear in the face. And how do you do that? Send an email, send a text, send a DM. Make a point of calling your donors 3 times a week. And oftentimes the thought is, oh, they're going to reject me. They're going to hang up on me. No, they won't. If it's not for them and you're calling about a cause, they'll graciously, and even if they are rude, you know what? So what? But 99.999% of the time, I've never had someone come back to me and say, I reached out and they just hung up on me. And no, I haven't had that happen. So we have these images that people are like, I don't want you. I don't want to help you. But in all actuality, they're like, sure, I'll help you if you ask. And this one is a big one. There's no perfect time. You may be watching this and say, oh man, I wish it was the holidays. Oh man, I wish it was the summer. Oh, I wish it was this time. Oh, I want to wait till my board. I want to wait for this. I want to wait till our next program. There's no perfect time. The great thing about donors, and we talked about this on day one, is that you can go after donors 365 days a week, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. There's no deadline or expiration date on talking to donors, on going to local businesses, on approaching individuals and letting them know who you are, what you do, finding out if they know of anyone that may be interested in helping the youth of Austin. Not just giving, but helping, partnering with your organization. All right, so I want you to commit to your first action and identify one donor from your list that you're going to reach out to this week, at least one this week. And I want you to write down your plan. Let's do it right now. If you need to pause and read the screen, what I want you to do is I want you to figure out from your list who you're going to contact, what you will say, and when you will do it. Okay? So we can pause right now. And we're back. So again, you should have written down, and you can do this right after the session. If you're watching it and you're like, hey, I want to crank through it, I would love for you to pause it, write down who you're going to contact. And if you're trying to figure out, and you're like, you know what? I don't know who I'm going to contact on the list. I always say, since you're warming up, go to a warmer contact. Maybe you know the owner of a restaurant, the owner of a business. Maybe you have a relative. You have a church congregation. Go to a warmer contact first, because your first is not going to look like meeting number 27. It'll be more refined, more nuanced. There'll be things you add, some things you'll take away. So go to a warmer contact and know that all you're doing, I hope that you kind of got this week, is what we're doing is having a conversation. We're not begging. We're not demanding. We're not selling anything. We're giving the opportunity for a donor to give and serve your community. All right. So again, we've got that. If you didn't have it, make sure you screenshot it. When I identify one donor from the list, who you're going to contact, what you'll say, and when will you do it? And the what you'll say that we created, that donor story, the pitch. And because of who it is, there'll be certain aspects of your organization you'll talk about because you know what they're interested in. Or if it's a restaurant and you say, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to tell them about the organization and I'm going to pitch to them the idea of doing a Taco Tuesdays where actually Giving Tuesday is a Tuesday in 2024. You could say, hey, on December 3rd, we'd like to do Taco Tuesdays. And if you could, I'm going to invite a whole bunch of people in and we'd ask that you would give $1,000 donation or 30% of the proceeds of whatever you get on that night between, say, 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. You can do it a lot of different ways. And that restaurant owner is going to say, what? You're going to pack my place out, bring 10, 20, 15, 50 people? Awesome. Or maybe your thing is like, well, I don't know if I can really gather people. It may be just asking for $1,000 donation. You would be shocked. Remember, it's tax deductible. And this time of year, individuals and companies are looking for places to donate and get rid of cash to be able to get those deductions. So let's celebrate your wins. I want you to reflect and share one thing you're proud of from this challenge. Feel free to put it in the comments, depending on where you're seeing this, or in the chat. And I want you to just reflect on your growth and confidence you've gained. Some of you have actually done some outreach while you were watching. So I know that many of you were doing your homework. And remember that every step you take helps your mission thrive. Remember, I said it's not about you. This is not, oh, they said no to me. It's easy to just take the yeses, right? They said yes to me. But when they say no, they're just saying no to the opportunity. And it's okay. Let them off the hook. I have seen organizations that go ask, they say no, but then they'll circle right back and say, you know what? Oh, we realize now we actually do want to give to the organization. So your response, never get emotional. Just say, no problem. Thank you for your time. If they allow you to complete the presentation about your organization, do it. And I will tell you, you will find it is better to know right away whether someone is going to give or not give versus, well, okay, I'm going to talk to the team. And now you've got to follow up and follow up and follow up. It's much easier to get a no to get a yes. It's the maybe that can drain your time. And I want you to be very careful of that. So that's why we have the sense of urgency. We talked about that earlier this week. Because without a sense of urgency, it's, oh, yeah, I'll get to it. All right, so your journey doesn't end here. You're going to keep refining your story, keep refining your outreach. You'll be refining your pitch. I want you to stay persistent and build meaningful relationships. And I stress that because this is not, we went through the challenge in just 5 days. But as you build a relationship, it may take a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months for people to give. But I will tell you, around this time of year, I would say for many entities, it's going to be a couple of days or weeks. And if you build in that sense of urgency, you tell your donor story, you work with your ideal donors, you'll get answers much quicker. And definitely keep an eye out for more resources and support from my company. But I did want to talk to you today, and I mentioned this a few days ago. There are going to be people that are going to watch this after the challenge, and kind of a couple of things are going to happen. Some will watch this and absolutely do it, knock it out the park. Others are going to be stuck and say, well, I'm not sure. Oh, I wish I could ask. I wish maybe if I watch it over, and just be stuck in this around and around. And others will do nothing. Just meaning you'll watch this, you'll go on to something else, and then you'll watch another challenge, or you'll seek out some other piece of information, but there will be no action. And for those that want to do, and they might be feeling stuck, and you say, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to be I don't do anything, but I would love to have a little help over the next 30 days. Well, let's talk about it. What can we do next? What can I do to create I thought to myself, what can I do to create for nonprofit leaders something that would be actionable, save time, and provides accountability? And what I realized is that for many of you, you're just days away from securing your next 10K donor. The challenge was about 5K, but with the assistance, with the additional coaching, you can easily hit 10K. And that's why I created the 10K Donor Accelerator. And I use that word for a reason. It's about accelerating, right? Moving faster. Many of you, there's an old saying like, you'll probably get to your destination with or without me, right? But without me, it may take a little longer. This is what I do when I work with organizations and individuals. I make sure they get there faster. So this is what I put together. I have a proven step-by-step donor acquisition plan. It's a 30-day roadmap. And when I say 30 days, it's not just, oh, this week, it literally maps out what you do every single day and tells you exactly what to do to land that 10K donor. I also have created some done for you outreach scripts and templates so you don't have to guess what to say. I have some battle tested scripts to connect with donors, to book calls, what to say on the phone, and secure solid commitments. And I also am going to include personalized pitch coaching. You send me your pitch in whatever condition it's in, whether it's 30 seconds or 2 minutes. And what I'll do is I'm going to turn it into a donor closer machine. I will refine it. And this is something when I'm working one-on-one with my clients, usually it's about $2,500 just for that. So you send me your pitch, and I don't want you to struggle alone, and where you could just send me your pitch and have the confidence you need. This is also going to include 2 live weekly calls. You get to ask me anything, troubleshoot any problems. You're going to get live feedback. And in that session, we'll also practice. You'll pitch me as if I was a donor, and we'll walk through it together. And also a donor objection cheat sheet. You're going to know exactly what to say when donors push back. Be able to flip those objections into yes. And that's literally a cheat sheet and a video. And if you do wind up signing up today, I'm going to review your donor list with you and give you a strategy for each one so you can target the right people to get that first 10K faster. You'll look at a list and a name and think one thing. I'll look at a list and a name and I will give you amazing options. We tested out some of them today, even when it came to restaurants and the creativity there, or Tractor Supply, wherever it may be. Again, I'll go over each of your donors with you, and we can talk through a strategy for each one. And so this is just a little bit different. It's results driven. When I work with a client, and I will tell you, I have clients that pay me about 30K a year, and it encompasses a total capacity building, board, messaging, donor acquisition strategy. And this is what I put into this program. And it's not just a generic fundraising course, proven system, and it's helped nonprofits secure millions. It is personalized coaching, so you're not doing it alone. You're not like, oh, let me figure this out. I'm not sure. And I do coach you step by step. And the goal is to get quick wins. If you apply this within 4 weeks, most people see results. Why? Because they have the meetings and the accountability and the practice. And I want to say this. If you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. I have so much to do with my nonprofit. There's a concept of working on the business or in the business. So you can work on your nonprofit or in it. And right now, most of you that are watching this are so deep ingrained in it. But if this time we spend together, I treat you and we work together like that CEO, leader, that executive that you are, so you can craft a pitch, that you can raise funds, that you can serve more people, and maybe even have a little more time. I work with a lot of leaders that when they're able to get donors, they have more time because they're able to bring in volunteers, because they're able to hire staff. Some of my current and past clients include Google, Home Depot Corporate, JP Morgan Chase, Viacom, several law firms, Wells Fargo. And again, I'm not doing this in the vacuum. These are some of my wonderful and amazing current and past clients. And one thing that is consistent is that it acknowledges that not only am I knowledgeable, but I care and I'm devoted to my client's success. So as Rosie said, he'll help you master your pitch and is passionate about seeing clients grow personally and professionally. All right. So what's the cost is the big question. All of this together, if you were to piecemeal it out or come to me and just click on my website, it would be about $6,000. That's not a made up number. That's a very real number that I get from my clients. But a special challenge price is $497. Or if you want to break it up into two payments, it'd be $297. To take advantage of the offer, you can simply click on the QR code, or I'm going to drop the link in the chat in just a moment. So I'll let that QR code stay up just a second if you're watching this on a computer and you have a phone, but that'll take you to the 497. And so I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and go get the link and drop it in the chat. I'll also answer some frequently asked questions that I get about this. So just bear with me 1 second. But again, for those that have made it this far, congratulations. Just so proud of you to make it this far. And the reason I say this far is because I know that you could have been any place else. You could have done anything else. You could have been like, I'm not even going to go for that challenge. But my hope is, and my prayer is that you got something out of this. And all right, let me just not try to do too many things at once here and get the link for you. Bear with me 1 moment. No, there we go. All right, so popping that in. And again, it's going to be a step-by-step acquisition plan, done for you scripts, personalized coaching, donor objection sheet, and you'll get to meet with me one-on-one for your pitch. Literally, when you answer the questions, at the end of the questions, you're going to get a link. Second, you're going to get a link to book time with me. And again, I charge clients anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a meeting, depending on how long it is. And that's not because I'm price gouging, but that is because I bring results, but I always do something special for my nonprofits. So, and that's what I want to do in this program. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat. Took me long enough. There we go. But the link is in the chat right now. And if you're watching this and it's a recording, you're going to see the link somewhere, either in the video in one of the corners, or you're going to see it underneath the video on the replay page. Again, I want you to be successful. I want you to be my next testimonial to get the $10,000, even $10,000 donor. And it's doable. It is absolutely doable. And this is for someone, no matter, you may be watching this and say, wait a minute, maybe you're watching this, you haven't even started your nonprofit. Well, you know what? It's even better to start talking to donors now. And you might be like, well, Michael, I can't receive money and I can't. No, we put together the plan now because the people you know are the people that you know. Right? So there may be some people you may warm them up to say, hey, I just want to let you know in the spring, I'm going to be launching this amazing nonprofit. I'd love to talk to you in the spring about partnering. Yes. And you'll be shocked once they hear what you're looking to do and you actually follow through with it, it will be very meaningful. All right. So again, this is for no matter where you're at. And let me just say this, and I'll put in the to pay link. Yep. And that's the to pay link right underneath. But again, yeah, I want nonprofits to win. If every single week, I meet with a nonprofit leader that says, I take money out of my own pocket for the nonprofit. They say that. I'm the only one. I don't have any help. I don't have any volunteers. Now, they're effective, but they're limited to only their own budget. I had a leader just the other day say to me, I know I don't have any donors. I really could use donors. I need grants. Everything comes out of my own pocket. I said, well, how much did you spend just last month? They said $1,000. Now, $1,000 went a long way for this nonprofit. But many of you, just like I said to my client, you have to decide the day that you're going to no longer take money out of your own pocket. That you're going to say, wait a minute, I'm going to go 100% donors and grants. Now we're talking donors, but that also includes there should be a strategy of going after grants too. So you've got to decide, when are you going to stop limiting your nonprofit by taking money out of your own pocket? And many people will not go after donors because of the fear. And then they'll just say, oh, I'll just take the money out of my own pocket. I'll just keep. Now, if you're independently wealthy into the millions, listen, philanthropy is amazing. But if you're not, and you're not reaching the goals and reaching the amount of people or helping enough entities, then you need to get a donor acquisition strategy. And again, this coaching program allows you to do it in a very efficient fashion. I always love, they say there's no such thing as get rich quick or quick money. Well, nobody wants slow money either. So I've worked with many a nonprofit where we put this into place, and within 4 weeks, they were meeting with donors, having conversations, and checks were written. So I'm going to leave it at that. The links are there. If you have any questions at all, I'm also going to send out a email. But again, the Act Now bonus is while we're live here on the line. So this is where if you act now, I'll actually go through your donor list with you and give you tips and strategy on each one. You tell me who they are, a little bit about what they do, and we'll walk through creating a strategy for each of those donors. So, all right. I can't believe we made it. We did it. We did it. You did it. Congratulations to you, nonprofit leader. You should be super proud of yourself. You did it. You made it this far. I want to thank you so much for just completing this. You could have done anything else, but you made it. So congratulations. You'll see some follow-up emails, some homework even after session 5. So continue to challenge, continue to meet the needs of your organization. I thank you so much, and have a great one till I see you again. Take care.